Why does everyone look so ill? Emi-chan, you look tired as well. Don't they say that if you gather all 7 school mysteries in one place, then something bad will happen? Hey, why don't we all go home before the 7th person arrives? We can't. We can't, but everyone wants to go home, right? It's the first time I've stayed back at school so late. Let's go home. Yeah, it's decided. I'll tell you my story next time. My name's Fukuzawa Reiko. I'm in class 1G. You can come see me anytime. Well then, let's go home. Ah, Emi-chan, why don't you put everything away tomorrow? It's already nighttime. Hey, what are you sniffling about? You lost your watch? Oh, what are we gonna do with you? Look for it, quickly. You still haven't found it? Just look for it tomorrow, okay? Let's lock up and go home. It's not gonna go anywhere until then. Come on, I'm gonna turn off the lights. Everyone, get out. Whew, I'm tired. Hey, don't you think our school is pretty dangerous? Listening to everyone's stories made me want to quit. Don't you agree? I think so too. Right? Well, even without scary stories, I don't really want to go to school anyway. I mean, study is so tiring, and the teachers are always harping on about stuff. Although they're apparently not as bad as they used to be. When my sister used to come here, they apparently had all sorts of rules that no one could understand. And I heard they used to call the bad students out and send them to the reflection room. What's a reflection room? Hang on. Let's go inside that classroom. It's not in use right now, but it used to be the reflection room. In reality, I didn't really want to go home. I just wanted to surprise you a little. I intended to bring you here from the start. See? I even brought the key with me. I found it one day, but it has a sticker that says reflection room on it, which kinda creeped me out, so I looked it up. Supposedly, there's a strange written apology in there. I heard all sorts of stories from my sister. Alright, the door's open. Everyone, let's go inside. Ugh, stinks of dust. They haven't used it for several years now, after all. There are all sorts of files here too. Supposedly, it was a room where students wrote their apologies. Of course, they saved those written apologies as well. Do you want to read some? If you find a scary one, let me know. Because my sister told me lots of stuff. If I know anything about that particular apology, then I'll tell you more about it. Look around the room. I looked around the room. It looked just like a regular classroom. Other than all the files, there was nothing special about it. But I wonder, when I'm inside this room, it's strange, like there are chills running down my spine. There are numerous files on a shelf by the wall. I grabbed and opened the nearest one. I permed my hair even though they said I couldn't. But I heard the student council was moving towards ending the ban on perms. If that happens, then I don't know what I should be reflecting on. At any rate, I'm sorry. There's no rule about not having a perm now. Perhaps it was dissolved before this student graduated. Let's read the next one. I'm the reason that Kawara-kun died. Because I was always watching him. What should I do? Perhaps all I can do is die. The name on this one is Hashimoto Miya. This one seems kinda crazy. Tell Fukuzawa. Fukuzawa-san. She came running over right away as I called her. What is it, Emi-chan? Did you find something strange? I showed her the file, and she fell silent for a moment. She furrowed her brow, thinking. Emi-chan, I think I know this person's story. Hey, everyone, listen up. Fukuzawa-san sat in a nearby chair and started talking. Everyone, take a look at the file Emi-chan has. I'll tell you the story of Kawara-kun. He was a brilliant student, the type who'd never once been told off by the teachers. He was quiet, the class representative, and they said he was a very serious student. He was pretty popular with the girls, but he apparently didn't have a girlfriend. He was raised ever since he was small, being told that he was a good kid. But apparently, he didn't think so. Well, I think there are probably lots of people who feel the same way. It was like everyone around him decided for themselves how he really was. Yeah, I get that. You understand how that feels? But for Kawara-kun, this became more and more unbearable. He smiled at his friends and teachers, but inside he was really poking his tongue out at them. Then, one day, everyone was changing classes for a chemistry class they had that day. Kawara-kun had lent his textbook to someone else, so he went to another class to get it back. But that person wasn't there. Class was about to start, and he had to hurry to the science room, so he quickly rushed back to his own classroom first. Everybody had already gone, so it was empty, and he grabbed his notebook. He thought he'd just ask his neighbor to share their textbook. Then he saw someone moving about near his desk. It was a male student from another class. They'd never really spoken to each other before, but he knew his face from the halls. His name was Koizumi-kun. To top it off, this Koizumi-kun had spoken ill of Kawara-kun before. Well, everyone's probably annoyed someone else without realizing it at some point. For some reason, Koizumi-kun didn't like him. He probably thought he was acting all self-important all the time, so he didn't like him. But that wasn't Kawara-kun's fault. He quietly cursed him. What the hell was he doing? Then Koizumi-kun looked up and noticed him. He quickly ran from the room. A single textbook lay fallen on the floor by his desk. What textbook? Maybe you can imagine which. It was his chemistry textbook. Remember? Kawara-kun lent his to someone else, right? It was that one. But it wasn't Koizumi-kun that he lent the textbook to. The whole thing was strange, but he took the book and made his way towards the science room. Before class started, the teacher said something. One of their upcoming tests had gone missing. They didn't want to believe that someone had stolen it, but... Sensing something was wrong, Kawara-kun went to open his textbook, feeling something inside it. It couldn't be. That was what he thought. Koizumi-kun stole the test and put it in his textbook. No, there was no way. He wouldn't do that. He had no reason to hate him that much. But if that test really was inside his textbook, he suddenly felt sick. His head grew hot. His heart started beating wildly. On that note, Koizumi-kun's marks were apparently top-notch, but it was always Kawara-kun that came in first place after a big test. Maybe he resented him for that. All sorts of things ran through his mind. He didn't know if something would be in his textbook when he opened it, but if it was the test paper, he would be the prime suspect. Thinking about it, he couldn't open it. Thankfully, the lesson that day was an experiment, so he didn't need to open his textbook. He was nervous the whole time. Then, break time finally came. What do you think Kawara-kun did? Looked inside his textbook. Kawara-kun went to the toilets to open his textbook. He went all the way to the toilets on the second floor, the ones a different grade to him used. But someone called out to him before he could go inside. They said he could leave his textbooks out. He didn't need to take them in. It was a casual comment by an older student. But Kawara-kun panicked. He was so nervous that he didn't know what to do anymore. He replied vaguely and left the toilets. That's right. He should just ask the man in person. That's what he thought. So he went to see Koizumi-kun. But he just played dumb. Even when he asked him what he was doing earlier, he said he didn't know anything. His suspicions grew. Kawara-kun went to visit the person he loaned the textbook to. Ah, your textbook? I thought I gave it back. He got a simple answer in return. Koizumi-kun's suspicious actions had nothing to do with him at all. Still, he should have returned the textbook sooner. Kawara-kun stared at him for a moment. What a messy, unkempt guy. Was he the real idiot for lending him his textbook in the first place? No, he was the idiot. He didn't think about the trouble he would cause others. He wanted to hit him. He wanted to punch him until his nose bled and kick him in the stomach. Usually Kawara-kun acted like a good kid, but when something didn't go his way, he was always like this. He imagined beating up his opponent, and every now and then, even stabbing them. But he knew what would happen if he did that, so he couldn't. What a terrible person. Right? The other students were no match for his warped heart. I think they call people like him a reactionary. Those who hold themselves back all the time become strong like that. His heart was full of hatred for others. If the test really was in his textbook, then he planned to hide it in Koizumi-kun's desk. Then he'd go and tell the teacher. What's wrong? You don't look well. Those words brought him back. Ah, nothing. He exited the classroom. Kawada-kun pondered during his next lesson. Yeah, let's just tell the teacher everything. I'm always a good student, so they'll have to believe me. No, wait. Because my marks are always so good, they'll start to suspect me instead. They'll think I'm returning it this time because people are talking about it. He was thinking too deeply about everything. This is what he decided upon. He would throw away what was inside his textbook. He thought he should quietly throw away whatever was inside his textbook. Whatever Koizumi-kun put in there couldn't be good. That was what he thought. During the next break, he went up to the roof. After confirming no one else was around, he went to open the textbook he'd hidden in his uniform. The wind was strong that day. He hid in the corner so that the wind wouldn't blow away whatever was in there. Nervously, he went to peek inside. The door to the roof slowly opened, and a figure appeared in it. It wasn't the silhouette of a student. A necktie blew in the wind, so he quickly realized that it wasn't. The teacher stood far from him, but appeared to be focused in his direction. It turned out that someone had tattled that Kawada-kun was acting strangely. That was why the teacher followed him. The teacher approached him, step by step. He looked like he was about to say something. His eyes were focused on what Kawada-kun held in his hands. As the teacher got closer, his shadow grew larger. Kawada-kun felt like it was swallowing him whole, and without thinking, brushed past the teacher and ran. Wait! There was no way the teacher could be silent after that. He chased after Kawada-kun. Then he tripped by the stairs as he ran. The textbook flew from his hands. It tumbled all the way to the bottom of the stairs. There was no doubt about it. Whatever was inside the book would be lying all over the floor. If it really was the test, they wouldn't believe anything he said. Hopelessness overwhelmed him at the top of the stairs. The teacher got closer and closer. Kawada-kun edged away. He forgot he was standing at the top of the stairs. He lost balance. He fell down the stairs head first. Of course, he broke his neck. He died. Next to his dead body lay his textbook and the letter that was inside it. It wasn't the test paper inside his book. The teacher picked it up and discovered it was a love letter. Apparently, the person who borrowed his textbook didn't return it himself. Maybe this written apology blaming herself for his death, this Hashimoto-san, was the one who returned his textbook, and she used that opportunity to put the love letter inside. When he saw Koizumi-kun by his desk, he was probably trying to see the letter. I don't know why though. Maybe he saw Hashimoto-san put the letter in and was curious. Or maybe there's another reason. I think Kawada-kun is the only one to blame for his own death. Dwelling too much on everything was the real problem. Still, how sad for the one that wrote that love letter, Hashimoto-san. She probably thought all this happened thanks to her letter. Everyone would have been making a fuss about it, and she no doubt would have had a tough time. Kawada-kun had other fans, so they probably tormented her. It's rumored that Hashimoto-san killed herself after she wrote this apology. And then they held a service for the textbook and love letter and burned them. But it seemed some type of desire attached itself to them. They say that even now you can occasionally see the phantom textbook around the school. Whoever happens to see it will befall misfortune. Ah! Emi-chan, behind you! Fukuzawa-san pointed at something behind me, trembling. What happened? I nervously turned around. Eh? There was nothing there. And yet she ran off, scared. Fukuzawa-san? She opened the door and fled out of the room. Wait! Somebody grabbed my hand as I went to chase after her. When I looked, I saw an unfamiliar face standing behind me. Who was this boy? When did he enter the room? He yanked on my arm. What's with him? My mind went blank. Darkness spread out before me. In the darkness, I could see a light floating around. The light occasionally lit up his face. Was this the Kawada-san that Fukuzawa-san was speaking of? Nobody else was around. Such darkness. It was like it was going to swallow me whole. Like I would melt into it. He turned to face me and tried to say something. His lips, redder than those of a regular person, merely trembled. I waited in silence for him to speak.